Well, welcome. We're going to be looking at a disturbing subject. The title of these two sessions is called The Death of Discernment. The Age of Apostasy is the aspect we're going to look at. In this session, we're going to look at the Age of Apostasy. In our next session, we will look at the antidote for apostasy. So whatever you do, don't leave this session in any state of depression. There is an answer and response to what we will be looking at in session 1. When we consider signs of the end times, let me ask you a question. Which end times theme is mentioned most in the Bible? Certainly, if you were to go to a Bible bookstore that had books on prophecy, you might come away with the idea that the Bible primarily speaks of global disasters. That primarily because of the references made by Jesus recorded in Matthew chapter 24. Some might say the most often referenced end times theme that we should be looking for is the rise of the global superstate. Some might say it's the identity of the Antichrist, this ominous character that appears in the end times. Or even more specifically, the mark of the beast. Some might refer to what is called the Magog invasion, that which is recorded in Ezekiel chapters 38 and 39, which is on, I believe, our near-term prophetic future. But there's another theme that is often overlooked, and it is the theme in the end times concerning deception and apostasy. Now, when we consider apostasy as a sign of the end times, we merely need to go to Matthew chapter 24, beginning in verse 11, where Jesus is meeting with his disciples for a confidential briefing there on the Mount of Olives. And there, Matthew records, "Then many false prophets will rise up and deceive many, and because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold." We see the Apostle Peter warning Timothy in his final epistle to Timothy, 2 Timothy chapter 4. He says, "Now the Spirit expressly says in the latter times, some will depart from the faith, giving heed to deceiving spirits and doctrines of demons, speaking lies in hypocrisy, having their own conscience seared with a hot iron." And then, of course, Paul also writes to the Thessalonican church, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 3, and says, "Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day will not come unless the falling away comes first, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he sits as God in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God." And so there we have the whole end time scenario going right up to the abomination of desolation as spoken of by Daniel the prophet. But notice the thing that precedes all of that. It's the falling away. The Greek word is where we get our English word apostasy takes place first. And so that is an indication, a precursor to the end times events. Now, in all three of these references, we see an indication that there will be a falling away. Jesus, recorded in Luke's gospel, says, "When the Son of Man returns, will he find faith on the earth?" That's a rhetorical device that Jesus uses, for which the only correct answer is little or none. One might even ask at this point, so are we now in the age of apostasy?